Hello everyone, it's K with another episode of my Revolution 3 Let's Play for Minecraft 1.7.10. So, in the last few episodes, well, we've been working on a bunch of Chromaticraft stuff, the blue trees are still around, and, well, it started snowing, so now my casting altar has got a nice white coat on it. It looks pretty nice, I guess. In any case, between episodes I've been doing some exploration, some digging, some other stuff, and I gathered, amongst other things, one of each color sapling for the colored trees. And I will eventually build up some way to semi-automatically harvest those trees, so I can get a ton of those berries which I need to make boosted shards. But before that, there's something else I want to do. See, I have a bit of a problem, aside from getting enough berries to make myself boosted shards. Boosted shards also, from my understanding, require some of these ether berries. And from what I've seen, they seem to spread automatically, those ether berries, but they only grow on jungle leaves. So I made this little test setup, complete with a bunch of fertility blooms on top of enrichment vines, which supposedly boost the effects of whatever's on top of them. I don't know. I'm just working with what I can tell right now. In any case, even when I have a lot of etherberry plants, it doesn't immediately mean that I also have a lot of etherberry items. See, each one of these only turns into one etherberry item that I can use to make boosted shards. So, while this little experiment to see if I can artificially grow these etherberries, while this experiment is running, I'm also going to look into getting myself a Rotarycraft crusher or grinder, or what it's called. It should be somewhere around here. As you can see, Rotarycraft adds a lot of things. Yeah, oh yeah, here it is. The grinder, indeed. The thing with the grinder is, if I throw my ether berries into a grinder, I get more etherberries out of them. Normally I get 1 or 2 from breaking one of these, but if I throw them into a grinder, I'm guaranteed to get 3, which is nice. So, to get that, I need a grinder, obviously. And to get the grinder to work, I need to feed it with 4.09 kilowatts of power and 128 Newton meters of torque, which are a couple of terms from which Rotarycraft gets its reputation as a very convoluted, complicated, and hard to use mod. I'm still not entirely convinced that it's a deserved reputation. But in any case, the plan I have right now is to work my way up to get one of these, which generates plenty of power and plenty of torque. Let me just check once. Yeah, plenty of torque, twice as much torque as needed, roughly the amount of power needed. Yeah, a lot more power than needed. I could probably you know, fine-tune it a bit to give even more precisely what I need. And short version, the plan right now is to work my way up to the point where I have a grinder set up that runs automatically off of one of these performance engines. Now, making a performance engine requires a few items. But yeah, now that we finally got some decent supplies of steel, iron, etc., it's much less of an issue than it was before. What is still kind of an issue is that we need something to fuel this guy with. So, yeah. I'm going to have to make some setup to make myself, what's the word? Ethanol crystals for that setup. Let me see if I can find those ethanol crystals real quick. That's platinum, that's tin. Those are living gears. I really should have looked this up earlier, huh? In any case, oh, scratch this. Ethanol crystals. You get those by smelting sludge in a furnace, or alternatively from liquid ethanol in a fluid crystallizer, but that's still a ways ahead of what we can do right now. Sludge you get from adding some stuff to a fermenter along with a source of yeast, and yeast you get from a different fermenter by adding sugar to dirt. So yeah, setting up some factory to automate all that is going to be a bit of a challenge. Not the least of which is, how are we going to get our sugar? I mean, sure, I can plant some some sugar cane, but how am I going to harvest those? Which is where another mod that we already got introduced to previously comes back into play. Thaumcraft. In short, we're going to make magical little robots to do the harvesting for us. Neat, huh? So, I'm going to look into where I'm going to build this facility. Preferably not too far away, so I can easily get there when I need to, and I'll be right back. See you soon. So, brief intermission. Some things didn't quite work out the way I wanted them to. I was looking for a certain iron vein I was 100% sure I saw before, but I can't find it now. So yeah, to let off some steam, I'm just gonna make one of these crystal cores. I'm not sure if they'll do anything, but yeah, they're a good way to at least show off how the extended crafting grid works. So as you can see, it requires the secondary crystal clusters in these spots and the primary crystal clusters in these spots. But if we try to go in here and put them in there, whoops, nothing happens. But like demonstrated before, you just gotta put them there in the item slots. Easy as that. And then put these here, and with any luck, there we go, crystal coal. Lots and lots of pretty particle effects happen. You see the progress. 3/4 done and done. Alright, I made myself some crystal cores, which I have no use for right now, but which I'm sure will at some point in the future become a necessity. Technically speaking, I could use them to make one of these what they're called, crystal stars, but as you can see, those require one of each boosted shard, and yeah, we're building up to the point where we can make boosted shards a little more easily. Also, nether star, never easy to get, right? So yeah, that was fun. Back to work. So, one of the things we're gonna need is a way to harvest the stuff that's gonna come from the farm. Simple enough. I've decided to go with the thaumcraft route, which is to use golems to harvest the stuff and then have another golem to recover the stuff. In any case, to do that, I'm gonna need a bit more magic of the thaumcraft variety, and so I decided, let's make a better wand. In this case, the gold-banded greatwood wand. For one thing, it's got twice the capacity of the iron-capped wooden wand, but notice how the iron-capped wooden wand says 110% average vis cost. The gold-banded great wood wand has 100% average vis cost, meaning that unlike the wooden one, unlike the iron/wooden one, it doesn't have an extra penalty for making stuff with it. Case in point, during the making of this wand, you may have noticed that it said 3.3 and other such x.x numbers when I had stuff in the crafting grid. If I had this one charged, it wouldn't give those point something extras because, well, it doesn't have all those extra costs involved. In any case, I still have a bit of research to do, a bit of infrastructure building to do. I'll be back once I continue with that. Alright, the next step involves the cauldron, or the crucible, sorry, which we made a while back, but I discovered something kind of annoying. I can't use buckets in here to grab water out of this. So, what's the solution? We're going to use pipes. The nice thing is, Ender.io adds these conduits, which are really useful for a bunch of different reasons. But right now we're going to use the pressurized fluid conduit for two reasons. One, it can ignore gravity, meaning that it can carry liquids up blocks without needing some kind of pumping mechanism. Actually, let me just put it down somewhere else. Up again, pop this open. Okay, so the second advantage that conduits have is that they can automatically pull if that's not disabled in this pack, which I wouldn't be surprised if it was. But no, turns out that it connects just fine, and yeah. Now, there are a few other advantages to using these conduits. For example, you can put item, liquid, and power transport in the same block space. But yeah. In any case, I made these crystal blooms a while back as well. They slowly grow every now and then. When they get big like that, you can harvest them to sometimes get more seeds and even more rarely get crystal shards, but that's neither here nor now. What is here and what is now is that we're going to need a few items to make ourselves some golems, some little magical robots that we're going to use to harvest our stuff. Again, we need some source of plant matter to make into ethanol crystals, so yeah. In any case, Nitor is a intermediary step. It can also be used as a lighting source. You can also put it under crucibles to heat them up. They don't burn, they don't set stuff on fire, thankfully, so that's nice. Let me just quickly scan it. There we go. In any case, next thing I'm going to need is some bricks and a few other odds and ends, so I can make myself the golems that will respectively harvest and gather the stuff that we need. Back in a moment. The next step in making a few magical robots is to make the robots themselves and to give them their instructions. That's pretty straightforward. In the Golemancy tab you got a collection of little magical robots you can make. Don't really like the term golem, it's got some connotations. But yeah, little magical robots. We're gonna make the flash robots because they can repair pretty quickly, they move pretty quickly, and it doesn't really matter that they can't carry as much as some of the higher level ones. I just want them to move around quickly. We're not going to get more than 4 items from one harvest anyway, so a carry limit of 4 is just fine. Anyway, more important is the two upgrades that they've got. Upgrades are one of these items, and I'm going to fit them at least with water upgrades to make them see from further away. And I'm considering to see, let me just check, yeah. The order upgrade gives the harvesting golem the ability to replant their crops. If the, Agricraft plans do not work with the little robots, then I'll just have to install one of these and make them grow wheat. Simple, right? Except this is where things get a bit complicated. See, to make one of these robocores, you need to throw a animation core into a crucible with these essentia in it. And the problem with that is, if you leave essentia in the crucible, it eventually evaporates into the environment and becomes flux. Flux is bad. Flux means that slowly your entire base goes purple before nasty tentacles start growing and, well, your entire place becomes uninhabitable. Anyway, there is a way to at least make it a little easier to dose how many of each aspect you eventually create. That's essentia distillation and, optionally, essentia crystallation. Essentia distillation basically means that you can pre-cook items in an alchemical furnace and then pull them out into little vials. Essentia crystallization lets you then push that liquefied essentia into a device that turns it into little crystals. And those crystals have the advantage that they carry exactly one of whatever essentia they're made of. So if you need 5 essentia of, let's say you need 5 messes essentia, and you can only get that from, and the only source you have on hand is grain, then you can cook the grain in the alchemist's furnace to then count out 5 units of essentia. In any case, I'm gonna build a few things that I need, so I'll be right back. Alright, so that took a little longer than planned, but now I have a bunch of water jars and some essentia crystallizers. Anyway, water jars are in fact bigger versions of these fails of essentias, which you get by putting stuff in the alchemical furnace and letting it cook up. For example, let me just count out 8 cobblestone. Cobblestone contains 1 ta and 1 perdicio each. So if you put it in, you get 1 arcane alembic with 8 perdicio and 1 arcane alembic with 8 terra. And if you have 8 of something, you can just right-click it with a glass file to quickly fill up the file with what you need. Like that. Now, naturally, these files each contain 8 of that aspect, which gets a little bit annoying when you need, for example, 5, like we do currently. So, what you can do is then use these crystallizers. Actually, let's not put that right next to the thing that's asking for trouble. Crystallizers, which you can then put on top, like that, on top of those jars, and with any luck, I think it should work, and put it in. Yeah. You see that they're turning green. They've got this little 1 indicating that they are currently processing. And after a minute or so, it takes a while by default. After a minute or so, you get some crystallized essentia, which is a stackable item that contains exactly 1 of the essentia that you put into it. In any case, the reason I'm getting these pop-ups is because I made myself a, pair of goggles of revealing, and then attach them to the mana steel helmet I had. So basically I can now see when stuff happens with essentia. I can also look at, for example, crucibles or aura nodes, which is like that thing you see over there, to see what's in them. Anyway, I now have one crystallized essence, one terra, so yeah. What I'm actually going to need is a pair of magical robot animation cores. One gathering core, which is lucrum and terra, and one harvesting core, which is one messis and meto. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I know what each of those occur in, so I'm gonna grab those. Be back in a little bit. So, another while later, and I finally have all, and I really mean all, the stuff I need. 5 lucrum from the gold coins, who thankfully already are items that contain only one of a given aspect. 5 terra, 5 messes, and 5 meto. Additionally, I made myself 1 piece of niter, well, 2 pieces of niter a little bit ago. So let's get started on making the magic bot animation thingies. First step is easy, the animation code. First step is easy, just put it all in the arcane work table like this. Make sure your wand has enough to fulfill those requirements, and combine them. Woohoo, done. Next step is a little harder, because, well, it's a crucible recipe. Crucible recipes are always a little bit more involved. Thankfully, I now have the 5 messes and 5 meto I need to make myself a harvesting. And there I go. Easy as that. Next up, the gather core, because the harvesting bot cannot grab the stuff that it harvests. Just drops it on the ground. To actually gather it, you need a separate magic bot to, gather it into a chest. Next up, the actual bots themselves. Again, we're going with flash bots because, well, as you can see in the bottom right, if you look closely, I've gained a little bit of warp. That means that I've been delving into stuff man was not meant to know, and I'm slowly going mad. In any case, flash golems, woo! So yeah, next step is to actually start building the facility in which I'm going to do my stuff. So, back in a little bit. So, after a while longer than initially expected, I built out a new road to the new area where I'm gonna do my Rotarycraft stuff. And let's just deal with this chucklehead quickly. Oh crud. Let's hope that that particular witch is not gonna be interested in us. But yeah, here we are. This is gonna be my little Rotarycraft factory. Let's just go inside. Used a pair of player sensors from Melissa's doors to open the front doors. You just gotta keep on the right, you can walk right through. Anyhow, ground floor, here's where most of the machinery is gonna go. And one quick climb upstairs. Here is where I'm gonna build the factory's little garden, from which I'll gather all the raw materials that later get turned into products. Yeah, anyway. First things first, I'm gonna have to explain a bit about what I'm gonna need. As I mentioned before, I'm gonna mostly run my factory on ethanol crystals at first. So how do I make ethanol? Pretty simple. You just throw a bunch of sludge into a furnace and you're done. To get sludge, you need yeast and some kind of plant material. And if I can find it real quick, I believe it's somewhere at the beginning. Yeah, sugarcane is one of the options for making sludge. Anyway, Making yeast also requires sugar, but more importantly, it requires dirt. So, one more thing I'm going to need is a steady supply of dirt, for which I'm going to use this recipe. A bunch of rotten food turns into dirt. So that's why I've got these scallion seeds as well. Now, let's see. This is going to be the first little farm area. Thankfully, tilling garden soil doesn't take any durability, so my little wooden hoe just works fine. And then plant the scallion seeds, because sugarcane needs something else. Anyhow, let me see if I've got any sand on me. Thankfully I do. So, next to that, I'm gonna place down my sugarcane farm. I'm just gonna move that one out of the way, because you can't put stuff in a block that's already occupied. Let me just check with F7. Nope, doesn't look like I caused any spots where mobs can now spawn. So this goes here. And in the middle I'm placing one of these and a fertility. Apparently they need tilled soil, which is kind of a problem because since it's not wet soil, it'll go back to... Oh, come on, work with me! That'll have to wait. In short, the fertility bloom makes stuff that's next to it grow a lot faster. Anyway, put all of this here, let that start growing. Since they're all 10, 10, 10, they grow relatively quickly. Let's just take this one out. Finally, I'm going to make a bunch of canola, which is going to be used to make lubricant for my machines later on. Actually, let me just make it into one corner of the building. Garden soil is a little hard to dig up, apparently. There we go. Okay, and this goes here. These get tilled. Alright. Canola, 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 and canola. Excellent. Now that that's growing, let's just put one of these here, because it looks a bit lopsided otherwise, and because I can use this to put water in, so I can have tilled soil in here for the fertility blooms. But yeah, anyway, now that that's done, I'm gonna have to grab the golem I made. Sorry, the magical robot I made, and set those two up. Be back in a moment. Alright, so we have two little robots and we have two animation cores, so we can have one robot harvest everything and have the other one just put it in a chest, which is exactly what I intend to do. So the way you do it is first you set down one of those little guys, then you right click them with an animation core. They'll spring to life, and once they've figured out what they can do, they start harvesting or putting stuff in chests or whatever. Anyway, when you give one a gather animation core, it just puts stuff in the chest. Nice, right? In any case, the plan I have is to filter every scallion in here into this chest, and then from this chest put an auto crafting system over here that pulls out the rotten food like this and turns it into dirt. As you can see, it's not exactly a fast process. So, while these guys are going at it, I'm going to make a few upgrades. More specifically, I'm going to give the one harvesting an upgrade. Actually, never mind. I'm going to give the one gathering an upgrade that makes it faster, and a different one that makes him stronger so he can carry more in one go. Simple, right? I'll be back in a second. Okay, this is what happens when you leave one little magical robot to tend 8 maxed out canola seeds for like, what, half an hour? And keep in mind, all of these stacks of canola seeds are full 64 unit stacks. This little guy is just unable to keep up. I gave him a pair of strength upgrades, so now he can carry, I think, something like 12 at a time? Yeah, 12 at a time. In any case, with all of that, yeah. I'm just going to sit here, wait for 5 minutes, let these 5 metric tons of canola seeds despawn, and think about what I'm going to do next. Okay. I still don't quite have a permanent solution to the overproduction problem, as you can probably already tell. But I've got a temporary solution now. This golem theta basically tells the golem, stand still until the redstone signal goes away. Now you see it's looking up again, and in a few seconds... Looks like he's taking a sweet... Oh, there he goes. Anyway, in a few seconds he goes out and does his job. Once the redstone signal comes back on, he goes back to standing still. Now, later on I can probably automate it to the point where the golems just won't work, the magical robots won't work until there's some amount of space in the target chest. I mean, there's no problem if this one keeps doing its thing. I mean, so long as this one is still, this one eventually just runs out of things to do. In any case, the next thing I'm going to do is to set up that little system to have the rotten food transferred to this chest. Or, well, technically the scallions pre-rotting. So, just gonna need one of those. Where did I leave my crafter? Here I did. Now, off camera I made some pulsating iron. It's a pretty simple recipe. Let me just show you. Just put an ender pearl and some iron ingot in an alloy smelter and get one of those. Now, the thing you use them for, with some conduit binders, is to make item conduits. What the? Did I accidentally? In any case, I guess I accidentally dragged over the button to rotate the grid. In any case, I think if I put down a lever first, where did I leave all my levers? Oh, I guess they all went in here. No, wait, here they are. Now they went in there. In any case, lever goes down here. Now provides a redstone signal to this, and how do I manipulate this? Ah, here we go. Now I need to find myself a whitelist item filter so I can tell it to only pull out scallions from this chest and put it into this chest. The one where I'm going to put all the food to rot. I know, it may sound wasteful, but remember, we need some way to get a steady supply of dirt, and letting food rot is apparently one option to do so. This is a strange game sometimes. In any case, I'll be right back because... Oh. That's hard. Anyway, filter. Basic item filter. You can either use a basic one or, well, not an advanced one, because that requires a bunch of stuff I don't have yet. So I'll just hope that a basic filter can filter on name, and yeah. Oh wow. Whoop, off. Oh yeah, and that bouncing items stuff. My game isn't haunted or anything, I swear. I guess it's just a glitch from having too many items on the ground. In any case, I'll be back with an item filter. So, it took just about as long as you'd expect it to take, which is actually not all that long. In any case, right-click the little grey backplane, insert the item filter into the appropriate slot. This is an upgrade to speed up the transfer rate. This one, well, I guess you can use that to inspect this thing from a distance somehow. I don't know. In any case, Scallion goes in there. Ignore metadata since we're only looking for the name or the item ID, whatever. Then set this one to extract. From extract to, oh, whoops. Let's take this one out for a moment. Apparently they're distinct now. Anyway, it's now set to insert. You can see that there's a little green arrow pointing into this chest. It's not running yet. That's because this end is waiting for a redstone signal. Thankfully, we can just set it to always active. And as you can see, I'm running out of time. In any case, now it's transferring the scallions in groups of 4 into the other chest. Woohoo! So, now I at least have a chest dedicated to letting food spoil. In theory. Oh, come on! Okay, from the looks of it, even the references to scallions, which, by the way, shouldn't For now, I think this episode has been running long already, so I'm gonna cut the recording here, and yeah, next time we'll do some more with Rotarycraft. Still haven't forgotten about the grinder I was going to make initially, and we're still gonna work towards that. For now, though, I'm a bit frazzled, I'm a bit hungry, and all in all, today I had a bunch of things that just didn't work the way they should. So, yeah, case in point, stuff that doesn't work as it should. Something that's 8 days old. In any case, I'm gonna stop here before I make an absolute fool out of myself. So yeah, see you all next time. Bye.